Hello again, YouTube. Quadzilla here. And I was working on some stuff and I was like, some people might not know this, and give them another little tip and trick when you're working on your ATVs, side-by-sides, or even your cars. You ever work on something and you got this gasket and you put it on. Every time you lift that damn thing up, it like falls out of place and you're having a hard time lining it up, or none of the screw holes want to line up. Well, there's a couple things you can do. Now, if this was a paper gasket, one of the things I do on my side covers is they sell a product at AutoZone. I don't have any handy. I thought I did, but I don't. It's called Indian Head Gasket Tack. It comes in a little brown bottle, probably about yay tall. It's got a brush in it. And what it is it's a gasket glue. So if I was to say this was a side cover with my stator or something, I did this a lot when I owned a Quadzilla, where I got my nickname. Those things you got to rebuild every 30 hours or they erupt violently. Well, I would sit there in some of the gaskets that I'd want to reuse. I could put the gasket tack on the cover here, the Indian head, and then put my gasket on, but don't put the gasket tack on the other side. 9 times out of 10, you take that stator cover off and everything else, it's glued to this cover, which makes your gasket reusable. Then you're not going through all kinds of little suckers all the time. Okay, so if you got a cover that you're taking off on a regular basis, and a lot of times your gasket will rip half off, half's on here, half's on the motor, now you got to scrape it off and start all over again. Get Indian Head Gasket Tack, little brown bottles made by Permatex. I know AutoZone carries it, and a lot of auto parts stores will have it. Just tell them you need Indian Head. They'll know what you're talking about. And you brush it on the cover. You can even brush it on the one side of the gasket that's going on the cover. Put it on, but don't tack the other side. The stuff works great if you're doing valve covers with like cork gaskets or something like that. You'd put the Indian Head on both sides. Cork was always well known for not wanting to seal up on like the older 350s and stuff like that. That's kind of where I got it. And then using it on the ATVs, I was like, this is pretty sweet. Anyways, I'm rambling. I got a gasket like this going on the bottom of a motor. Every time I pick it up, this gasket moves, shifts. I'm having a hard time getting it in there because you got to wiggle it around a frame or something. This is an old timer trick. I'm a fisherman. Guess what? Fishing line has a lot of uses. I can take this fishing line and go through 4 or 5 of these holes. You could go through every one of them if you really wanted to. Take that fishing line and tie it in a double knot. Leave a couple inches hanging off. That gasket's now tied to your pan. But the fishing line's small enough your bolts will still go through the pan. So you can go up and you can start your bolts. If you really wanted to, you could just crank them in there and pull the line off afterwards. Or you can put them in there, start your bolts on all of them so your gasket's lined up. Grab that line and rip it off there. And then tighten this the rest of the way back up. Save you a lot of headaches and a lot of new invented cuss words. One third trick I guess you could do, and I don't like this because I don't like what the hell it does to the inside of the motors. Silicone. Silicone can be nice, but man, that stuff can fall off and gum up in an oil pan and everything. If they make a gasket, use a gasket. But you could take silicone, the RTV silicone, and just put a couple drops in a couple of the corners and spots and mush that down in there, and that'll help. Fishing line works the best of all of them, I'm telling you. I figured that out when I was a kid working on stuff, and I used to rebuild lawnmowers and stuff as a kid to make money. People would throw their junk lawnmowers out, and I'd work on them, get them running, and sell them for 10 to 20 bucks. Paid for a lot of my stuff when I was a kid. But anyways, this here, good tip. Any gasket you're using, you can do that. Tie a few spots of your fishing line on there, double knot it, slip it up in there, slip your bolts in, pull that fishing line back off. Or you could even leave it in. It's not going to hurt if you leave it in because fishing line's so small, it's just going to seal up anyways. It's just you'll have little dangly things hanging off if you don't rip them out of there. So, but I just thought that was another tip and trick that a lot of people could use on their four-wheelers or cars these UTVs, what have you. It'll save you a lot of aggravation. Alrighty, I figured I'd do another short clip to show you what it's like. So, as you can see here, I got the 4 corners, string hanging off on there. I can take this sucker, wiggle it all over, bounce it, chuck it, whatever. Doesn't matter. That gasket's staying there. I can put these bolts in, and even with these, it's got the little whiskers hanging down. I can put them in, start them, grab this with some needle nose, pop it right off there. Just another thing I think could help some people out. Have a blessed day.